Right, guys, welcome back. This is the Above Average FPL podcast. My name is Adam, and as always, joined by Baker. How are you doing, mate?
I'm very well, mate. Is this our first ever Friday night pod?
I tell you what, it's our first ever Friday night pod, and it is pod number 100.
Amazing.
I can't believe we haven't plugged that at all, but it's pod number 100. So, for anyone that's listened from the start, thank you so much. Anyone that's joined us in between, thank you so much. 100 podcasts.
I do not think when me and you said, should we do a little podcast? We thought we'd do this.
Yeah, man. But here we are. And,
cheers.
Everything's going well. Cheers. Sorry, my bad. I forgot to get a glass. But here we are. So tonight's pod, basically, 6 months ago, I think it was looking earlier, it was the 9th of January. We did a podcast on BPS. It was a turning point for us. Not a turning point because we weren't going down, but it was I can't think, catalyst, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
it was a great pod, and it got a lot of traction, and people really enjoyed it, and it really was a different way of looking at it. So, we thought with another half a season's worth of data in hand, we thought we'd give it a go again, look at last season's data, and see how it can help us. Maybe make some of those 50-50 decisions a little bit easier for the start of the season. And every point's going to count in these sort of short little sprints that we've got to do. So I think that's what we should do. So we'll start just quick admin, try and get this out of the way as quick as possible. Podcast, as always, is supported by our good friend Dan. He is at CryptoBlockDan on Twitter. He's a games analyst within the crypto space, the play to earn crypto space. So, playing games, earning money, doing that sort of thing. So he's a really cool dude, and he is, playing Fantasy Premier League this season as well. I'd like to think that we've pushed him into that, which is great. So, go check him out. He's got a couple of drafts on Twitter already. And I'm sure he would love to see what you have to say about his team. And in addition to that, we are also working with FPL Tips. So fpltips.com, they do a weekly newsletter, and what they design... The design is to, get this in your email inbox once a week. It condenses all of the important information that you need, and again allows you to build a picture of making better decisions. We got some news today that they just passed 4,000 subscribers on the email newsletter today. They passed 3,000 yesterday. They passed 4,000 today. So these guys are absolutely brilliant doing this. It's Ross, FPL Merch, and James Copeland. Massive in the community, etc. The link to that is in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so please do click that one. That would be great, and it is completely free. So that's great. And then finally, our league code. So as I said on Monday when we were talking to Mark, Jamie won our pod league last season. He won everything. So, an opportunity for him for you to come and take him on this season is to come and join him in our league. It is UAT 148, and the auto join link is also in the description below. And that's the
super quick, mate. Well done.
Super quick, yeah. Super quick. And thanks to everyone who's joining us in the chat on YouTube this evening. If you're here, then you're not watching another podcast, which is great. And if you are watching that podcast and you're listening back, thank you for coming back and over and listening to us as well. So, there's plenty of room to go around. So what we're going to do, we're going to break it down. We're going to start at the basics, like what is the bonus or what is the BPS? And then what we'll do is we'll talk about certain things that are going to impact the BPS, talk about the top teams from last season, do an A to Z through the clubs, and then look at the top players at the end, and then any final fleeting thoughts or anything like that. If you want to get involved, if you have something, a question you want to ask, feel free to ask it. If it's relevant to the slide that we're on, I'll chuck it up on screen, just like that. And so if you can see that. So Monsieur Ritchie. So I can chuck it up on screen and you can see that if you have a question you want to ask. And what else was I going to say? I can't remember the rest of it.
We're going to give the data, aren't we, that we've used at this?
Yes, that's right. So after we finish the stream, what we will do is we will chuck the data, the link to the Google Sheet down in the description below as well. That's the only place you're going to be able to get it. So you've got to get it from there.
Yeah. And if you like it, all the good old stuff, like, subscribe, and do all that stuff. we want to get to 2,000 followers for the start of the season, and we're not that far off. We're not that
far off. Indeed. So let's throw it back to the basics. Now, I can do the simple bits. If you want to do the complicated bits, it's fine. We'll do it that way. So, what's the BPS? So the BPS is the bonus point system. Just important to note that it's not the BPS system, because that would be the bonus points system, which would make no sense whatsoever.
Everyone calls it.
I know. You just can't.
Everyone calls it. If you search on Twitter for BPS system, you'll find thousands of tweets where people call it the bonus point system. We
do it all the time. We call it. We call our what we use. We call it a pin number, don't we?
Yeah.
Like literally N means number, but anyway. So. So what is the BPS? So the BPS uses a range of stats basically to create a score for every single player. It's statistics that generally we're looking at, when we're doing our research. So pass completion, pass accuracy, blocks, clearances. There's big chances created, chances missed, and then there's all the actions in the games as well. So part of it will go to baseline. So part of these actions will go to baseline, and part of them will be physical actions. So things like scoring a goal, for example. So in each game, and most people, if you're watching now, you'll know this, but in each game, the best player on the BPS will get 3 points, and then it will work its way down 2 and 1. There's some bits around sharing points, etc., which are all up on the screen there. And so that's basically it. And I forgot to say, if you're listening on the YouTube on the podcast, there's tons of graphics on this one this week, so I really would recommend coming over to the YouTube and giving it a watch. So,
and if you don't, just still go to the YouTube and get the link, so you've got the Google sheet, and then you can look at that whilst you're looking at the listening to it, and that still works.
Agreed. So, what's good? What's bad? So, good things are good things you would expect to see on a football pitch. It's quite straightforward, really. So it's split into 3 sections here, mainly to do with the positions that the players play in. So you've got your goals at the top, passing and creative in the middle, defensive stuff at the bottom. Now, forwards scoring a goal, 24 points on the BPS. It is basically all the strikers do.
Yes,
that's it. The positions they play on the pitch doesn't allow them to be so involved in the game, so they don't get tackles, they don't get the number of passes that you need in order to reach that threshold that you can see below as well. So 24 points for a goal is what they get, and this is why it can be difficult for many players to beat a striker once they score, especially if they score 2. It's almost done at that point. Midfielders get 18, goalkeepers and defenders get 12, and the winning goal gets 3 as well on the baseline. I'm not sure whether my camera has frozen, which is a bit of a problem.
Oh, it looks like it has on YouTube, but it hasn't for me on the old.
That is very bad. Well,
good start.
This is excellent. I don't know what I'm going to do from here. Hold on, I'll tell you what I'll do. Just give me 1 second, and I will try and do something. Hold on, let's just.
Oh dear.
Should we play some music or something? I don't really know what to do. Baker, I tell you what, you talk through the passing and creative and the defensive stuff, and I'll sort out my camera.
I will do that. So, basically, you have either actions, which are the obvious, which is the scoring a goal, the setting up a goal, the keeping a clean sheet. But then you've got the baseline piece, which is then the things you just accumulate during the game. And this is the bit where it's trying to understand the intricacies of it, because it's not just who Sky says man of the match gets free. It's they've got to get certain conditions that really support them. And that's why we're doing this pod, because it's that baseline piece where it really helps. So things like having a good pass completion. So centre backs often play very sideways passes. Some of the central midfielders play very sideways passes. They often have high pass completion. The ones that either don't pass a lot, because to get passing, you need to have a minimum of 30 passes completed. Most strikers don't get the 30 passes completed. Or those that chance it. So lots of crossing, often those ones don't get there, then they don't often get the pass ones. Key passes basically means anything where it leads to a shot, successful open play crosses. Doesn't even need to lead to a shot. It's that you just crossed it and the other person, somebody got on your team, got on the end of it. So even if they spoon it up in the air, that's good for your baseline. Successfully dribbling someone's good. And then the defensive stuff, it's either like just recovering the ball a lot. So high pressing teams, people that turn over the team, turn over the ball quite a lot, or those that just boot the ball out. Those are really, really good for it. Then the bad. So you're still frozen, I see there, mate.
Yeah, I'm still frozen, but you can still hear me. I don't even know how to fix this properly, to be honest. So it's going to look a bit stupid on the
YouTube.
On the YouTube in just a minute, it will anyway. But
magnificent.
So
if we can go to the bad though on the YouTube.
Yeah, I can do that for you. Hold on 1 second. There you go, mate. I'm still frozen.
What's bad? Like, what takes it off? Well, some of them are obvious. Things like red cards, you miss a penalty, you score an own goal. Those are all bad. People that continue to pick up yellow cards, it's big time bad. And then with strikers, as much as they get, more points for scoring, if they have a shot off target or if they miss a big chance, that's bad. Like, that will take a lot off. So you think of players like Jota, for example. He may score, have a really good record, but he misses so many big chances. And therefore, it makes it really difficult. You've only got to miss 2 big chances and you're already at the same value as what a midfielder gets for scoring a goal. So forwards that are not clinical is not good. Oh, I think you're back, mate. I think you're back.
I am, but I'm not. That's the thing. Hold on. I'm not. I am, but I'm not.
This is
amazing.
This is amazing content. This is exactly what we want.
Keep going.
Players that get offside, bad. Tackle, bad. Fouls, bad. And making an error that leads to a goal, bad. So
here I am again. And I'm there. There we go. I might be a bit delayed and it's a bit funky on the colouring, but,
it's good,
I'm
mate.
here.
That works.
I'm here. Jesus Christ. I have no idea what's going on with that. Anyway, hold on. I've lost my complete track. There might be a delay on me speaking.
We've done the baseline. I think we're cool.
Oh, cool. So you've done the bit that I wanted to do. Perfect.
Yeah, good.
Cool. Okay, so let's move on to a subject that's being discussed. Frozen camera -2 baseline. Brilliant. A subject that a lot of people are talking about this season anyway. And it is the impact of 5 subs. So, we talk about the impact of 5 subs on obviously particularly the number of minutes a player is going to get, and obviously that's going to impact their opportunity to impact the game. So score, assist. Are they going to get to 60? Are they going to keep that clean sheet? And a number of the BPS metrics also require you to have obviously a decent amount of time on the pitch, because you need to complete a minimum amount of passes in order to get the passing accuracy. You obviously need to get clean sheet. You actually need to get that clean sheet after 60 minutes to get the 12 points for the clean sheet as well. And obviously it just limits your opportunity to get goals, etc. So 5 subs is obviously something that's going to impact BPS as well. Now there's one thing that people aren't talking about, and we did mention it when we spoke about it a few pods ago, and that is that you can only make these 5 subs on 3 occasions.
Yep.
So it's not the case of you make a couple of subs early in the first half and then I can make one in the 88th minute, the 89th minute and the 90th minute. That doesn't work. You still only have 3 occasions, but you also have half time. So are we going to see more substitutions at half time? That could potentially impact us. And it's maybe not to plan for, but just being aware that, a red card in the first half or an injury in the first half, that's going to be an occasion where a manager has to make a change. And, it might be a case that 40 minutes gone, a serious injury, and a manager goes, I'm going to have to make a double substitution after 40 minutes because, we're not in the game here either as well. So, it's just something that we need to be aware of, and just something to keep in mind more than anything.
I think as well, the positions, so things like pass baselines, I think will be impacted by 5 subs for certain players. Trying to get to that 30 pass mark to be able to qualify for passes is going to suddenly be a lot harder for fullbacks and a lot harder for your wingers and those midfielders. So, for example, we'll talk about it later, but Gabriel Jesus was the highest forward for pass completion on his bit, highest for baseline full stop. but he averaged 31 passes per game.
Yeah.
If he's coming off 10% less, he spends 10% less time on the pitch than what he did because there's more subs, suddenly actually getting to that 30. Whereas, say, for example, your Diaz or your Laporte, like they average like 90 passes a game. Not going to affect them at all.
Yeah.
So we might see something where there is a change in the bonus based on those positions where they're sort of high impact, low involvement.
Yeah.
That'll be very interesting to see. But then what you might also see is that the baseline becomes less important and the actions become more important. So before Salah, for example, although he's been pretty good because of just the sheer number of times that he's returned, it used to be the case that if he only scored once, he rarely got there on the bonus. But he might do now if other players are getting taken off before they've got the opportunity to steal his points.
Yeah. Yeah, and Michael makes a good point on the chat as well, saying Conte rotating wingbacks every half. I mean, it's feasible. It's feasible. So
it's feasible, but one of the other things is that the rotation, what that might do with defenders is last season. Last season. Perisic, for example, he got taken off after 60 minutes and then conceded 5 times.
Yeah.
So he had a locked-in clean sheet. So he then has 12 points more on his bonus,
as well as 20 points more across those 5 games.
Yeah,
happy days.
Than all of those ones. So he's got that locked-in clean sheet, and then he gets it. So actually, there could be some really, really good options on the bonus, and we're not going to fully see that until the subs start rolling in.
Yeah, cool. So let's get into the meat of it then. So let's look at how the teams fared from the first half of last season to the second half of last season. There's a few things in here that surprised me, actually. I'll be honest, a little bit. A few things that were quite clear. The first thing that sticks out to me, obviously has to be that Liverpool and City have basically dominated the bonus like all season. So that 5 out of 6 points go to City and Liverpool teams on average.
Yeah. So what this table is going to talk through is there should be 6 points on offer, a 3, a 2, and a 1.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes there's more than that because you can have joint ones and stuff. But I think you looked at it before and didn't average something like about 6.5 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I think United at the time were the only team that actually managed to play in games where it was exactly 6 points.
But basically, Liverpool across the season, in any game they play, they take over 5 points of the bonus. Same on City. Then your kind of next tier is Chelsea, albeit not so much in the second half of last season. And then Spurs and Leicester, and then you're dropping into your West Ham, Arsenal, United of this world. And what you've got on the screen, if anyone can see it, is it's the season performance. And then throughout this, we're going to do the first half of the season, second half of the season, and how's it changed. So what you can see is that Liverpool couldn't come out the blocks flying more. 5.6 bonus points per game in that first 19 games.
Literally taking 6 points almost basically every game, apart from a couple maybe.
And I think what this enables you to do is when you're thinking about who can I triple up and those teams, well, yes. Yeah. It's not like, it's like, well, only 3 people can get the bonus. Yeah, but they all get the bonus for Liverpool.
The astonishing thing about that is that strikers, when they score, they're normally in the bonus. Right. So if you have an opposition striker at a lower team, let's say, and we're talking like Chris Wood maybe at the start of last season at Burnley, let's say he scores against Liverpool, he's still not getting in the bonus because people like Trent's baseline is like through the fucking roof, and Robbo's assisted and baseline's up here. Salah's scored 3 goals, and it's just nuts. You just can't get anywhere near. You couldn't get anywhere near them.
Really can't. So those are big ones, and City finished it unbelievably strong. But regardless, whether it's 4.7 or 4.9, Liverpool, I wouldn't say that's just like a big drop off. It's still comfortably the big boys.
Well, they were still comfortably the second by basically 1 point. They were comfortably second in that metric.
Chelsea declined though, on their one.
Well, I think we saw that because they had a really good run of fixtures between 8 and 14, 15, where they they basically didn't concede any goals, and that's when like Reece James was picking up bonus points for fun and stuff like that. Chilwell was fit, wasn't he, in the first few games of that?
And similar.
So they had a pretty set. They were pretty happy with their set defense, and that's where the bonus points were being picked up. I mean, they weren't being picked up by Lukaku and Havertz and the like, were they? They were being picked up by those wing backs and whatever. And whereas they didn't really have that so much as as even like Reece James was challenging with injury. Obviously Chilwell was out, etc. I mean, the Spurs thing surprised me. We didn't improve as much on that as I thought, but. Then again, we started the season with 3 wins, so we probably picked up decent bonus points. We would have picked up decent bonus points against City. I mean, there were 3 1-0 wins as well. So all the defense is picking up high baseline, high BPS scores anyway. And then to later on in the season where it was basically Kane and Son dominating it and Kulusevski coming in. Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense to me. I think, and the others you can see, the results improving, particularly Newcastle sticks out, obviously.
Newcastle really sticks out.
But then,
I think the other thing that hurt Chelsea is that they had virtually no forward play for them in the second half of the season. Like Werner didn't start every game, and Lukaku wasn't playing much of the games. So therefore, like you say, Chris Wood wouldn't necessarily have done it against Liverpool, but he might have done it against Chelsea. Saying that. Liverpool did all of that really without a striker.
Yeah.
Because Bobby didn't play very much at all. No.
But
that makes theirs even more impressive. Tottenham's definitely changed. It was defence first half of the season. It was back to your usual Son, Kane, Kulusevski second half of the season. Yeah. Leicester, they were a big bonus team. And that's even more surprising with them because one of the teams that do well have a good defense, because quite often if you get a clean sheet, you can take them all, can't you? If you have a 1-0 win, then chances are the goal scorer plus 2 of the defenders takes the clean sheet, takes it.
Yeah. And what we know about Leicester is
every game starts 1-0.
Exactly.
So for them to do well, it's like, well, it didn't go to the defenders. So you're like, any attacking asset for Leicester, they've just got like a little bonus every time.
Yeah.
Literally, pardon the pun, but they do have some extra points for every return they make. They're worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
West Ham and Arsenal went backwards.
I mean,
second half of the season, Arsenal's bonus per game is what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams better than them in the second half of the season.
Yeah, but they don't, again, no real recognised striker doing anything of sorts. If you look at their wing backs, they play generally with a 4 at the back. So you need lots of clean sheets for your centre backs to be getting involved, and they don't really have much attacking threat from who they have, Tavares and not even Tommy Asu,
Cedric.
I mean, it's just they're nothing players from a bonus perspective, and so you're expecting that all to come from sort of Odegaard and Martinelli and things like that. So, but they didn't really have the players finishing them off, and they didn't create a lot of big chances either. They don't. No. They just create small chances and stuff like that. And also because of that, they're missing the target a lot. So that's obviously negative for bonus.
And they didn't keep a lot of clean sheets second half of the season.
No,
so White and Ramsdale were big contributors to that first half of the season, and then not at all second half of the season. So they're ones to watch. Palace went from being one of the worst teams to up there. That's so hard with Palace because the fixtures aren't good to start the season to look at, and also they've just got so many players.
It's odd because I just feel like Palace we were all sort of like, oh, you need to get on Gallagher, and this was like game weeks like 5 to 10 or whatever when it looked like they were playing. I mean, they were a half decent team all season, but it was at that point we were thinking you need to get on him, but nothing really stood out in that. Even in that second half of the season, I didn't really unless they just
No.
dug results out that I wasn't aware of. I know they had, you know, I remember in the first half of the season we were looking at it and we were saying like, you know, they're quite poor away from home, they're quite good at home, and I know that kind of their away form definitely picked up in the second half of the season. That may have been a contributor, but
I think when you watch them though, they play good football, so therefore often they'll get there in terms of the passes, and they'll often get there in terms of creating some chances. It's just whether they finish them or not, and if they do, they tend to do all right.
Honestly, I think anyone below that second,
it's not worth turning about. Apart from Newcastle, you just want to keep an eye on that. Bruno made a big difference that second half of the season. They had Wilson, Wood, and St. Maximin all were forwards. St. Maximin obviously become a midfielder this season, but that enabled them that if any of those three scored, they were almost in it. And then they got much, much better defensively. So it doesn't massively surprise me, but trying to keep them in mind that you might have these teams like Newcastle and Leicester where the assets aren't necessarily priced like Tottenham and Chelsea, but are ticking over. Just want to keep that in mind because I think it's something that if we see signs, you can go with them. The rest of them, painful.
Yeah, cool. So, on to the clubs.
Club by club.
We will timestamp this, don't worry.
There's going to be a lot of time stamping to get through this one.
Cool. So, Arsenal.
Yeah, and when you look at these, just for references, is if they've got like a funny colour on their name, it's because they've come in. So they've been playing at another club. Then the yellows are things we just kind of want you to look at. So predominantly it's over 0.5 bonus per game. Because that effectively means, you know, if you start 2.5 points rather than 2, closer to 3 than 2, then that's a good place. Yeah, that's a good place, you know, and chances are those players will also return because otherwise, why are they get into bonus? And then from a baseline perspective, it's just about thinking a bit of, is this a bit of an outlier compared to either the rest of their team or even the position they're in? Because it doesn't matter necessarily how good you are on the baseline. It matters how good you are on the baseline compared to others, especially in defence. And I think everyone needs to just think about the formation that teams play. So Arsenal, we know they play 4 at the back.
Yeah.
And therefore, you've got 5 players that get clean sheet, 12 points. Keeper and 4 defenders.
Yeah. I'm not sure you have to explain that bit, but carry on.
I know. But Chelsea, Tottenham play 5 at the back. So therefore, you get 6. And so being the one that stands out is more important, you know, suddenly in those areas. Or if you don't stand out, you've got to return. Yeah. You've got to score. You've got to assist. So having a centre back that doesn't lead the baseline and doesn't score, don't bother.
Yeah,
that's my straight thoughts, you know, on those ones. Having midfielders that don't score and don't dominate baseline, waste of time. Having strikers that have a baseline sort of above 5, well, if you've got a baseline of 5 and then you score and it's the winning goal, you're immediately over 30. Yeah. If a defender's got a baseline of 15 and he gets a clean sheet, they ain't catching you. So having strikers with slightly good baselines is really, really important. And what you've got here in this one is last season, what you can see is that Ramsdale, the reason why he was so good on the bonus is because he was above the baseline of all those 4 defenders. So often there was things like someone would say, he's only got 1 save and he's got 2 bonus. I don't get it. But it's the other places he gets them. So it's he's very, very good at recoveries. He comes and claims loads of crosses. And his passing is genuinely good. His distribution, you can see it. He's a really good player with the ball at his feet. So he didn't need to make that many. He now has somebody whose baseline was really good at City. Now, when we get to City, you'll see that everybody's baseline is good at City. So will he necessarily do that? You know, but Zinchenko had a bigger baseline than Ramsdale. So he might, make Ramsdale worse as a pick, but he also might just have the place to himself.
Yeah.
And then midfielders, what you can see with the midfielders, when you play a 4-2-3-1 system, is that the wingers in that system are runners.
Yep.
And
So
therefore
Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe.
And point out again, all of these are starts. So this isn't, Smith Rowe's not manufactured down because he's already come off the bench. We're just playing on starts on this one because you kind of have, if you do per 90 as a way to check the stats, then it doesn't really work because players don't play 90, then they'd be really inflated. So Jota, if you did per 90, looks like a brilliant baseline man, but he's coming off for 65 minutes. If you did per appearance, then those that cameo occasionally, you've only got cameo once or twice and it will take down your whole season's baseline. So Smith Rowe would get completely done over from that one. Yep. What you want to see is when they start, how do they play out? So players like Martinelli, players like Saka, they've got to return. They've got to return. And where it was useful for them last season is they had to return and they had the striker not to return. That was really easy with Lacazette.
They additionally, to be fair, actually, they additionally needed Arsenal to concede to actually get there because particularly on the Ramsdale thing, because if Ramsdale's up at 14.6, gets 12 points, that's 26. If your baseline's 7.8 as a midfielder and you get a goal that's 18, it's 25, it's got to be the winning goal or whatever. So there's so many different permutations or so many different factors you have to think about.
Spot on. So the reason why Saka did better in the second half of the season was because Ramsdale wasn't keeping in clean sheets.
Yeah.
And because Lacazette was there. Once Nketiah started playing games, Nketiah just was taking the bonus home every time.
Because he was nicking away with goals. That's why.
Even with a really low baseline, his low baseline's 4, it didn't matter. It was enough that he's there. We then move in Jesus, who has literally the best baseline of any striker in the game. Again, works really hard, passes loads.
It's like the opposite of Bundesliga tax. It's like City tax. It goes the other way.
Genuinely, there could be baseline
City
tax.
Multiplier. Yeah.
And we might not find that out for the first couple of games.
Yeah.
But if they keep it, because the one good thing is on this, although it's City tax, it's a City manager.
Yeah.
They're going to. And it's a player who wants to play like that. Yeah. So do I think that Zinchenko will want to be there? Yes. And there's rumours that Zinchenko will play in midfield, not at left back. Perfect. He'll do even more passes, and so I think Zinchenko and Jesus, they could be huge bonus monsters in this team. And I think the rest get nowhere near.
Fair enough.
Nowhere near.
Cool. Villa.
That's as much as we need last.
Yeah, that's fine. It's plenty. It's plenty. Villa,
just in general, those baselines are pretty bad.
Yeah.
They were a bad team last season. I think we shouldn't forget that, is that they did not do particularly well at any point during the season. They didn't have a massive uplift off of Gerrard.
No.
Baselines are pretty average. Coutinho's at 9.8 for what would be a fancy player, if you want to call him that, is strong.
Yeah, because he'll be involved.
It's really strong. So I do think that you could see. I
suppose, and we haven't got this here, but you'd have to look at that alongside like an expected goal involvement type metric to really, I suppose you can get more context from the baseline.
Yeah.
With that, so you can sort of predict returns as well. On top of that, maybe we should have added that. Although there was
when Buendia played as well, though, it's the same with them. That's pretty good, actually. That 9, that's like you say, over 8 is when it starts becoming interesting because they start to take strikers on.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Is if you're under 8, then and the striker scores, you're stuffed. And Watkins and Ings. They're decent. They're not great, but they're decent. The whole defense is like, it's pretty bad, isn't it?
Just a waste of time.
Yeah, the best you've got all season is Mings at 0.34 bonus points per game. They were just a complete non-event for bonus last season.
Yeah. And we consider Martinez to have had a bad season from our standards as well. And he was considerably better than any defender there.
He didn't He didn't get a single bonus point in the second half of the season.
They just must have conceded every. I'm just looking at you now. I mean, they conceded in the last 5 games.
So unheard of, though, to get no bonus points in the second half of the season.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean they had a few clean sheets in. There 3 clean sheets on the bounce: Brighton, Southampton, Villa. But then lots of goals actually in those games. So then Watkins, Ings, no bonus for Martinez there.
What I do quite like for them is I watched them the other day, and Archer, the young lad, who's a 4.5 forward, you could see him, because their baselines are so bad, that even if he came off the bench and scored, that could be an 8-point goal.
Yeah. Yeah, because he'll be 24. Yeah, potentially.
Because their baselines are so bad. And so Archer, for me, just immediately, I was like, if he doesn't go out on loan, he's straight in if you need that 4.5 forward. I might end up with 3 forwards, but if I don't, Archer stands out because he's just got to score.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with that though, I mean there are obviously considerations for the team they're playing and stuff like that. Because
yeah.
But it's again 4.5 million. Who cares? To be honest,
who cares? If you luck in, and the fact we don't think because of the 5 subs that we're going to need the bench to come on that often, but he might be all right.
Yeah, cool.
Done with Villa. That's quick, isn't it?
Brentford. I mean, there's not much to be told here either. Now, what's interesting is obviously it's interesting. Actually, we didn't get it in there. We could have had Ben Mee's stats in here, couldn't we?
Burnley actually weren't very good, so I can give you that. I was surprised at it because I kind of think of Tarko, didn't you, as the sort of guy that would get big bonus, and they were there. But then you were like, Pope used to get it all the bonus, didn't he?
Yeah. So he used to, and that's. But I think we could have put Ben Mee in here, but I think Ben Mee gives us context over as to whether Raya becomes a better. Have
a guess how many bonus points Ben Mee got last season?
Nothing. Well, no. Did he get 1 or 2 when he scored against Tottenham?
He got 3 bonus points in that one game. It's only bonus points of the entire season because he scored and got a clean sheet.
Yeah.
That was it. His baseline was 10 for the season.
Oh, he fits in. Well, actually, he's worse than Pinnock and Janssen. And Aya as well.
But thinking about these as a team, these are counter-attacking teams.
Yeah.
And so they don't have a lot of the possession. They don't have enough to get there. You'll see it quite often that they put the ball over the top for Bumo and Tony to run onto.
Yeah.
A lot of those passes don't get there. You very, very quickly go from 70 to 80, 80% down to 70% on your pass when you start doing clearances.
You just can't pick them up.
And counter-attacking teams, it just doesn't work for them. The beauty of it is it means that Tony just mops it up. The interesting one is that Bumo has a slightly, and I say slightly, better baseline than Tony and is now a forward. So, for that little bit cheaper at 6 million, he might not be the world's worst option if somehow that looks like he's in for a good run.
How many returns did Boomer get last year? Must have been 6. 5, 6. I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
I mean, he missed a lot though, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and to be fair, that's going to impact his baseline.
That does hurt his baseline.
Hitting the woodwork.
Yeah. To be fair to him,
4 million times.
To be fair to him, he got 4 goals, 7 assists. 4 goals. That's all he got.
Yeah,
and he's been moved to a forward.
Well, it'd be positional, wouldn't it?
You don't want to spend 6 million.
It'd be baseline. I mean, it's like you said. I mean, it was the baseline. He missed so many chances. They put him up as a forward. That's what it was.
Yeah, he got 7 assists, 4 goals. But I did actually look at and calculated, do players gain off it? No, they don't. There's no midfielder that moves to a forward that gains by that change. It's just straight up loss. It
does feel odd though that given that actually nothing because the real in-game actions don't really change. It's just the amount of points that you get rewarded for it. So how does that not improve?
Bumo got 119 points last season. He would have got 110 if he was classed as a forward last season. So, nah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So Tony's good. Raya could be better.
Raya could be better.
And he'll be better than any of the other defenders anyway. We know that.
He will be, and he has got a decent baseline.
So he's of that Nick Pope ilk in that team, the way the team's set up. Well,
absolutely,
yeah, in the way the team's set up, counter-attacking 4-4-2 type. Well, it's a bit more fluid than 4-4 Sean Dyche 4-4-2.
Yeah, the good one with this compared to Pope is when Pope didn't play, and what's his name? I want to say like Bailey Farrell or something like that. What's the guy's name? That was a double-barrel name one day that used to come in. He never used to get any points or any baseline of it. When Raya didn't play,
Peacock Farrell, that was it.
Peacock Farrell, that's his name. I think Bailey Farrell was like a rugby league player or something like that. I don't know.
Anyway.
But when Fernandes played, very similar baseline. And the main part is there, if you ever watch Brentford play, is he comes for every corner.
Yeah.
So they lead very well in recoveries. It's not huge save numbers. It's purely the fact that he's coming for them. Recovery. Again, decent, just rolling the ball out. So he gets up there on the passes. If they become a good defensive team, he is standing out there. So as the question just came in, he potentially is. What doesn't help him is if two forwards are starting every game, that's difficult, because you can't really win, can you? Because if they win a game 1-0, then one of the forwards scores.
Yeah.
So that's against him.
Yeah.
If it's 0-0, the other team also
have the clean sheet.
Have the clean sheets.
So
therefore, how often is there going to be a thing? Because look at their other midfielders, the Jan Outs, the Jensen, the Norgard. They're not big goal scorers.
Yeah.
And then if a defender scores, again, they're above him. So it's really hard to play out a situation where Raya actually does okay, despite the fact that his baseline's good.
Fair enough. And
move on.
And moving on to Brighton. Before we do, the reason you were saying Bailey Farrell is because the guy's name is Bailey Peacock Farrell. Genuinely.
Amazing.
Genuinely. Just saw that there. Cool. Brighton.
I mean,
there's a massive yellow here, mate, to be honest. There's just so much yellow.
If Cooch goes to Man City, that's really interesting. Because he's a bonus monster.
Yeah, which we called out even in his first 4 or 5 games, didn't we?
You could just see it, just the way he plays.
Yeah, and they're playing they do play a 3 at the back, 3-5,
yep.
5 at the back, 3 at the back, whatever you want to call it. So,
yep.
You know, it's him and it's Lamptey / I don't know who else plays on that right hand side. Moda? Was Moda playing there at all? Is he playing down that right hand side at all? Maybe.
I think he's more in the midfield, wasn't he? March. I didn't even put March on here. I was
March.
Stuff March.
Yeah.
Veltman swaps in, doesn't he, a little bit with him. I mean, Veltman's actually a really bad asset from a baseline perspective. Dunk, I don't know what the deal is with Dunk. Like, Dunk used to be huge. You know, I know him at the start of the season because he was always really good. Like, his baseline was 15. He actually played quite a lot of games when he came back from injury. I thought maybe he only played about 10 games. He played like 15 games that second half of the season. But I don't know why he dropped off. Maybe because Cucurella sometimes played that left side rather than Dan Burn once he went, and then Cooch is just better, that he just takes it. But if Cooch goes to City, Dunk's then potentially got that on his own again.
Yeah.
But having already lost Dan Burn and then losing Cucurella, you're like, how many clean sheets are they going to keep? Yeah,
very true.
Very true. I mean, the baseline of their strikers is mad.
They're just... I mean, Morpay's baseline is terrible because he just misses chances just for fun. He's just what he's like from an XG. He's just one of the worst.
Misses chances.
Misses everything. He's just one of the worst. I mean, and what's stupid is he'll miss a bunch of those chances. Didn't he score like 3 games in a row? One with a bicycle kick, just like
like
whatever. He has the ability to be able to score those goals, So I can imagine being a Brighton fan is frustrating at the best of times, but to have to watch him would be tough. For the rest of these, oh yeah, and George has just mentioned a very good point in that they've also lost Basuma, funnily enough, which we should have made. We should have been very quick to point out. So yeah, defensively could be a concern for them. Strikers, I'm not. From a bonus point perspective, you know what? To be honest, I'm not interested.
Nah, I mean they do chug away, like they're solid, but they're not standouts. And because they've got so many that do chug away, because the Lamptey and Cooch can return, they've got big centre backs that sometimes, score goals. The Webster, the Dunks of this world. You've got Trossard, who's just, looking to score all the time. You have got a forward that plays for them. It does mean that Sanchez just doesn't get there. Again, we said about Emmy not getting many bonus. Well, he only got one. So it didn't get much better in that second half of the season. Again, don't really fancy it.
Yeah. Escapades, he says he's missed the first half. Mate, we're only on Brighton, don't worry.
Yeah, you're fine, mate.
You're fine. And I'm sure you won't be the last person to come over from Black Box, I'm sure.
Hey. Chelsea.
I'm sorry. Right, Chelsea. Yeah, there's a few players here. Like we're already like 45 minutes in. I'm looking at Chelsea thinking this is going to take forever.
This is a minefield. We will get there, mate. There's a lot of teams where there's not a lot to cover. We'll try and get through those ones. But
I mean, short story is James. I just don't get it. James is so annoying. Just because he was a complete nightmare for me when I owned him at like average of like 2.6 points.
Look at his baseline though, mate. Second half season, 16.89, like 15 on average. No wing back does that stuff. No wing back does that stuff. Like I can say there's not that many wing backs in the league, but
even if you compare him to like a Trent, and like people try and do the eye test comparison, they're very different in the way they play. Trent's obviously a lot of passing, a lot of distribution. James is more direct. And I think you get that at Chelsea as well. I mean, we've talked about it before with Chilwell coming in at the back post, and he's always like looking to score a goal. They're always looking for they're always looking for an opportunity to get to goal, and if that means that they find their way into a position where they can make a pass in a dangerous position, that's what they'll do. But they'll be in that dangerous position where you'll find Trent is actually more like 5-10 yards outside the box, and creating danger in those positions.
And Havertz is the position change, is go from a midfielder forward. I had a look at it. He'd have got 10 more bonus points last season.
Yeah.
If you look at where he was in each of those games and add them in, he would have got 10 more bonus points.
He still wouldn't have scored anything against Norwich, though, would he? The prick.
He still, but he would have lost. This is the thing about Havertz. This is a really good team. Like he lost 10 clean sheets by going from a midfielder to striker.
Yeah.
Last season, he lost 8 points off his 8 goals from being it. So, despite the fact that he'll get 10 more bonus, he loses 18 points. So it'd still be. If he was a forward,
don't win when they go to the forward.
If he was a forward last season, he'd have got 104 points.
Yeah.
What a waste of time.
Yeah.
That's the same points that's less points than what Mbeumo would have got, and he got 4 goals last season.
Yeah.
Chelsea are such a tough read. What I do think is that Chilwell did brilliantly because he's a weapon.
Yep.
Doesn't, do the passing.
No, it doesn't
miss his chances because he's basically playing striker.
Yeah.
But it's good enough that he can easily multiple turn. It did enough to, if you're scoring in virtually every game you play, you got 0.8 points per game. Yep. James just ticks over. He can get bonus from any of the ways. If there's a clean sheet, James in the picture. If James scores, James in the picture. If James assists, James in the picture. Like,
I think just James the way they were set up. The way they were set up last year. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but it felt like quite a few of their goals came from the back. I'm looking at these players as well. Like you say, Chilwell got a couple. James got a few. James got a couple. Thiago Silva. I'm just remembering that goal against us. Chalobah
Yeah.
seemed to score every time he started, it felt like, but
Yeah.
he ticked away with a couple of screamers. Rudiger scored goals last year as well, a couple of those. It felt like a lot came from there. And then I think in the first half of the season, Kovacic had a period where he went like 6 points, 7 points on average per game. He was scoring. Jorginho's obviously on penalties. Like I'm still trying to get to the point where the goals come at the front, and it was primarily Mount, basically.
It's probably Mount, and Mount was solid. Interestingly, that Mount and Sterling had very similar numbers in terms of bonus per game. But I think Sterling's bonus potential, unless he starts hauling on a regular basis, I think it's only when it's down.
Yeah. Again,
just
don't see that. The City multiplier in there, and he's only getting 6.
Could be the City tax. Mount is solid. A baseline of 10, gets assists, gets goals.
Yeah,
it is a very, very, very solid player. Some of the ones I look at and think, Havertz, don't fancy it. I mean, Werner and Brozier, I don't see them playing, so they're just non-events. Ziyech was great in the last season. I don't know why I included the table. It's just because they did all right, so it's hard not to, But I don't know. James v. Chilwell is a really interesting pick for the start of the season. I think if Koundé, which it looks like it is now going to happen, from Sevilla comes in, the best thing about that is he plays right centre-back. If they sign a world-class right centre-back, we've got James at right wing-back all season. That's probably enough to tip me more James' way than Chilwell's way, I think.
Fair enough. Palace?
I think we can leave it up there. We've said about it, but it's bloody hard to go there. It's similar to Brighton, this one, isn't it? Where they chip. They became like a Brighton, where they chipped away the second half of the season. Zaha has always been terrible at bonus, but okay.
Just because he misses chances.
Yeah, but the likes of Edouard and Mateta, you don't fancy him making more than 45 minutes most games now with 5 subs.
No. And they haven't. Yeah, can you see anything coming from, Elise or Eze? They'd have to do a lot more, I think.
You just worry on minutes. So I think.
But is their squad? They've had players. I mean, I'm just thinking of Gallagher, but I mean, what we're looking at here, the squad looks pretty. Well, this is not the squad, but it looks pretty thin. And you're taking out Gallagher, who going back to Chelsea quickly, Gallagher who had averaged 0.7 points per game. Exactly as I said earlier about Palace, it was him that dropped off in his FPL performance, at least. No one was even close to that. I mean, like MacArthur was just over half of that in the first half of the season. I mean, there's just nothing else there.
If what you have got is Elise and Ayew basically play the same position in that team, you can see the quality in Elise. So the baseline that you get from Elise versus Ayew is big. If Elise starts playing every week, he could be that Gallagher of last season at the start, where if somebody with a baseline of about 12 scores, he's on 30.
Yeah.
He could be a very, very good asset if he gets the minutes. It's just if he gets the minutes.
Yeah. Cool. Everton.
When you've got bad teams, what you want is it to not be spread around. Even good teams, you don't want it to be spread around. So like Palace are a good team. Brighton are a good team. But when it's spread around, you're like, so what? Actually, what you kind of want with the crappers is that you can go, they're going to get it. They're going to get the bonus on it. And Richarlison's gone, but he was getting 0.6 bonus per game. Gordon, second half of the season, 0.5. Very, very strong. If DCL is back and plays every game, is on pens.
Yeah, we should be, quite clear that 2 years ago DCL was a was a decent pick.
Yeah.
He's not a bad striker, and he's not a bad striker for FPL either. So, and if he does score, provided that he's not playing against a team that wraps up bonus elsewhere,
yep,
he's gonna take all the bonus in a 1-0 win anywhere that he plays in, pretty much.
Their baselines are so bad, mate.
Yeah,
like it's so bad. Like Damari Gray at like 8, and all of the defenders at 10, 11, like they're horrific. So what that does mean is, Richard,
okay.
Yeah, Pickford is okay. Pickford got 12 bonus last season. Only Ramsdale and Addison got more bonus than him last season.
Yeah.
And you're like, bring Tarko in. So yeah. I still think when I look at that 4.5, I think not the world's worst.
Okay.
It's a tough call, isn't it?
It is,
but
it's a tough
There'll be a time, I think there'll be a time where we look at Calvert-Lewin and think, yeah, we might go there.
Yeah.
We might go there. Yeah, they're bad.
I mean, look, the only one I'm going to call out here is Bamford, because we just didn't see him. And again, Bamford focal point for me of the Calvert-Lewin ilk. If he scores, he's going to be more involved in a bonus. In a 1-0, probably not, because Meslier is going to be up at 29 points already, and Bamford's only going to be on 27. So,
if they could somehow be tight, Meslier is gold.
Yeah.
But I don't know what there is that tells you that they're going to be okay. Is I saw Baron Cross, the Leeds reporter, say at half time today that it was just awful. Bamford apparently just looked lost. They tried, I think, a free at the back formation, which they've not done before, and it's just so hard to go near any of them when you don't know what we're going to be seeing. Is it Sinisteri? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Sinistera. He looks like he's injured. Gelhardt apparently smashed it off the bench. That is the other thing, is they do say like they're going to play 2 strikers. They start playing Bamford and Gelhardt again. Doesn't help. One obvious omission from these, so we're taking players out if they've gone. Don't think that Rafinha was smashing it. He got 14 bonus from 35 games.
Yeah,
it's not ideal. There's just very little. There is my notes I put on Meslier just for the train. See FPL team Peter in the chat says my notes say Meslier baseline is so attractive. Full stop. It's such a standout that we can all ignore the fact that he was only keeping the league to average less than 3 points per game. Like, it's bad. And I'm not sure it gets better when they're trying out different formations in pre-season. I'm like, I kind of really wanted to think that Jesse had the summer to, the end of last season to work out what he wanted to do, and it'd be a really clear identity, and this is how we're going to play. And now I'm like, not so sure.
Fair enough. So moving on from there, Leicester.
Just on what we've looked at so far.
Sure.
Meslier, Raya, Pickford. If you had to go 4.5, because they're probably the 3 of the most ones, and Sanchez. To be fair, on fixtures, I'd probably go Raya. I'd probably punt Raya. I don't mind. I haven't got the fixtures in front of me. Where are they? Panicking to get fixtures now. Sorry.
No, that's all right, mate. It's all right. Fixtures.
Brentford have got
Leicester United, Fulham, Everton, Palace, Leeds, first 6.
Yeah. Good 3 to 7, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not so sure about the rest of it.
Everton have got Chelsea and Liverpool in their first 6. I know they're at home, but Meslier, Chelsea at home again. I just think Brentford's are slightly better. Who was the other one you said?
Pickford.
No, Chelsea and Liverpool first 6. No chance.
Yeah, it's hard.
No, it's just there's better players. In,
I
he's not going to
trust
pick them
Brighton
out
as a
game.
team better than I do the most of those ones. And
Oh,
it's
Brighton,
just,
you said, yeah.
yeah, United and West Ham in the first three.
Yeah.
I can see a load of people that wild card in, say, game week 4, when it's Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, going, I'm going to bring in Sanchez as my keeper.
Yeah.
Can see a load of people
Yeah,
wild carding
and
game week 4 and
even
doing
7 and 8's Bournemouth, and say Bournemouth and Palace. So
yeah,
it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Still not there on them.
Yeah, I still feel like I want to go, because I know that I'm going to be wild carding closer. I still feel like I could go in Allison, for example.
More I look at it, I'm like, we just talked about those 4.5s. You're like, I don't like any of them.
Yeah. Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. So, Leicester? I think this is what we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are halfway. So there's 17 to go through, and we're on number 9.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams named in the ABCs, isn't there? So we'll get through there. And we've got some big ones in the next few, though. Leicester, just defenders, it's just waste of time. Basically, if you're in the attack, that's what we said earlier, it's just so heavy.
Yeah.
Maddison averaging 0.86 for the season is just incredible value. That is a fantastic £8 million player.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's his baseline's pretty good for where he is and for what he does in the game, in terms of his goal involvement. So, he's always going to be at 28 plus when he returns, which is, that's kind of the benchmark. You need to be up and around 30 to get bonus, essentially. And if you're playing against Liverpool, Chelsea, or Man City, you probably need to be up around 35.
Have you seen Maddison in anyone's drafts?
A couple, not many, but a few.
I've not seen him in anyone's. Home to Brentford and home to Southampton in the first 3.
Yeah,
big.
Yeah,
really big. Is Vardy. Vardy, Nacho, Daka, whichever one plays, great value.
Yeah.
I mean, Vardy just continues to do what he does. The reason why Vardy is so good is because he misses so little.
Yeah.
He's just a brilliant finisher.
Yep.
And therefore, he doesn't get those minuses and he gets the pluses. And then the team doesn't keep clean sheets.
So he's fine.
So he's absolutely laughing. They've always got a striker on the pitch. Maddison the other ones all get taken off, don't they? Just so often that, but even that second half of the season, look, Lookman, Barnes, Maddison, Daka, Nacho, Vardy all averaged over half bonus point every single time they walked onto that pitch.
Yeah.
Just not missing.
Yeah.
They are a really good attack. And if one of the wing backs, and if they do go to a system and they start playing wing backs, or they start then and bring that back at 4.5, those wing backs could be fire. I think what you see when they play them 4 at the back, Ricky P just wasn't a player when they play him back as a right back.
Yeah.
Just not the same.
I mean, to be fair to them as well, they went all the way to May in Europe as well. It's nuts. It's nuts. And, we've said it already, I think, in a previous pod, one game a week for these guys. Vardy's not going to be tired. Maddison's not going to be tired.
This is the big thing of their season as well, is that none
of them going to the World Cup. I mean,
but Maddison might.
Well, yeah, okay.
But what's he got to do to get there? And he's got to make himself.
Yeah, but okay,
he's got to be unplayable.
Fine. Maddison gets to the World Cup. How many games is he going to play at the World Cup, mate? Seriously,
it's not that. It's the fact that he has the desire to get to the World Cup makes him a better asset for the first half of the season.
Fair enough. Yeah.
No, see what I mean? is whereas we
then he's going
could
to get
have
a month off anyway, just sunning himself in Qatar.
Yeah.
That'd be the reward,
So-
couldn't it? You smash it the first half of the season, take a month off in Qatar, just relaxing, all the bit of training, and then come back and smash it second half, one game a week. Happy days.
Harvey Barnes is going to be looking at it and saying, "Who's the left winger for England?" Really, like I know they don't really play one, but these guys. They've got something to aim for, a lot of these players, to try and get there.
I think you're stretching on Harvey Barnes, but okay.
Maybe.
I'm not going to let you get away with that one.
But I think I'd rather them than Bukayo Saka's going. 2 games to go before the World Cup. Is he going to start going, I'm just going to play through the minutes? We ain't got to worry about that just yet. But these players aren't going to want injuries, whereas these guys, they just can just go for it every single week. Just keep coming back to Brendan Rodgers, Liverpool, Sturridge, Suarez, Sterling, monsters. This could be it.
Yeah.
This could be it. Maddison.
Definitely ones to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And it's cheap into that defence as well if they get going. Fair enough. Cool. Right. Monsters time.
Just hold on. Let's just flick to Leeds. Even actually, let's flick to a good team. Flick to Arsenal, so we can just show the tax. Look at those baselines, like the 12s, 11s, 13s, 11s. Then you get like the 8s and the 7s and the 4s and that up front.
Back to Liverpool.
If you're a Liverpool defender, even the Simicasses and the Canates who come in, like 14's your minimum.
Yeah. It is mad. It is absolutely mad.
Van Dijk got done over last season, and he would be a standout bonus asset in any other team. But unfortunately, Joel Matip was just absurd, and Trent and Robertson, and Addison just pulled off worldie after worldie. I look at that now and say that Van Dijk is the 5th best asset for Liverpool defence.
It's mad.
It's become that way.
That's mad.
And he still gets an all right. He's not too bad.
Yeah.
One of the beautiful things for them is the centre midfielders just get nothing. Just, Fabinho, the only reason he got any in the second half is because he took about 3 pens when Salah went off to AFCON. But Henderson, nothing virtually second half of the season. Even Thiago, nothing, because he does often very much come off early.
Yeah.
Keita blasts it over at any opportunity he can. And Jota, he will be interesting because he's right on that cusp at 5 on the baseline, where he's going to suddenly be looking at the 30 pointers if he scores.
Yeah, depends on
fit.
Minutes. It's going to be minutes between him and Nunes, obviously.
Yeah,
but we have no idea what Nunes' baseline is going to be. It could be like a 3 or 4 or whatever, so he might not get involved anyway. Salah at 7's pretty good, but then
Salah to get a bonus per game of 0.97 as a midfielder with a baseline of 7 is absurd.
Yeah.
What it tells you is how many times he gets 2 returns.
Yeah, and I mean the first half of the season was huge. I mean, you can see the stark difference.
Yeah,
and we're not going to turn into Andy Martin or anything like this, but there was a stark difference between first half of the season, second half of the season. Put it down to fatigue, put it down to whatever you want. I mean, we saw the whole of the Liverpool. It wasn't even just Salah, right? It's not even just Salah. Like Trent was a huge drop, and dropping 5 points off his baseline, just because, as you said, he started playing quarterback instead of flipping, whatever.
What we'd call him, but
I don't know what else you'd call him, but he just literally started playing quarterback and not moving and just pinging balls wherever he wanted, which means his pass completion was going down and he wasn't creating as many chances, etc. So
that's what big time did him, is that pass completion where he's trying lots of Hollywood balls meant he had a 75% completion.
Yeah.
Whereas when you think about the type of balls that he plays, you're always shocked. have you ever been shocked at a good Robbo ball other than a corner? You know, you're never like, oh my God, look at that, what he's done there. He's more of a runner and he does cutbacks. Well, cutbacks often go to the person they're supposed to go for because he's good. He's not like one of those, I'm just going to put it into an area. He's good enough that he often does 1-2s, you know, for his cutbacks and stuff like that. So it doesn't really suffer. There's a lot of players out there that I think might take some bonus off of Salah. Just on Jota alone, if he did the same amount of returns as he did last season, and him or Nunez will do that amount of returns, they basically swallow up, I think it's something like about 8% of all bonus points at Liverpool. So everybody is a little bit down on where they would be because there's more forwards in their team. Alisson did all right for a keeper. Most bonus points per and I think a lot of people talk about like bonus point monsters and stuff like that. You know, that's what we say, isn't it? No keepers are any good at it. Alisson's the best at 0.42. Nobody got over 0.5. So we didn't even talk about Mendy earlier, did we?
No.
You know, when we talked about Chelsea and the fact that they've got all of those players, Mendy doesn't ever stand a chance. He gets like 0.1 bonus per game. Alisson at 0.4 bonus per game. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. He's. I think Alisson. If you want to go premium, I think Alisson's worth the 0.5 over. But how do you not already look for getting free Liverpool players?
Yeah, true.
And that's the problem with Alisson. Luis Diaz, strong baseline. 10 is strong. Mane's baseline last season was 5. Season before that was 7. So I think the season before is a better comparison because he played left wing. Bobby was playing. Last season, he played a lot of centre forward, so you'd expect him to have a slightly lower baseline. But Diaz at 10 averaged over 0.5 per game. Again, Luis Diaz, James Maddison, a lot of good £8 million players.
Yeah, we already mentioned Mount, didn't we, as well? So
yeah.
Cool.
On to City, more £8 million midfielders.
A couple more, yeah. Let's go. Look at that. Second half of the season, 1.12 bonus per game. That's Mahrez.
Yeah.
just
had a I just saw in the chat is that Constitution Pictures said if Jota was a forward, he would have had around 20 more bonus points and they would have come off Salah. He would have had 11, exactly 11. Looked through this one, so he would have taken 11 bonus points off of everybody else in the team, but he would have lost 29 points out of his goals and clean sheets. So he got 175 points. He actually, if you adjust it as a forward, he'd have only got 157. It's not a good thing, him going to a forward.
Yeah. City. Come on, let's move on.
City. Hot in the city.
I mean, the first thing to call out, there's no strikers obviously on this table because we had Jesus in the Arsenal table, which is why you've got no baselines in less than double digits. Expect Haaland to be down at like 5, 4.
Well, Jesus was 9.86.
Well, okay, fair. Yeah, Jesus was. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So maybe and he was 11 for the second half. So it's just the way that they play. You know, we showed their pass map the other week, and basically everyone had big green circles. Like there's no ineffective positions. Everyone touches the ball
often as well. I think it is
exactly, and therefore the people who get bonus are the people that do stuff.
Yeah,
quite simply.
Nice. So
unless. And KDB is probably the big one, I think, in that sense. So KDB, what he actually managed to do at the second half of the season is step out a little bit further, was nearly 15 on the baseline. But we saw it so many times, he was near a 20 on the baseline.
Yeah.
which therefore means if he even got an assist,
He was at 29.
and he was ahead of the defenders.
And we said it, a number of other, I think I've heard other pods say it, like every time he gets a return, it's like a 6-point assist. It was a 6 point, because he wasn't necessarily, apart from the one where Jesus went absolutely fucking nuts, he wasn't assisting a striker. So, they're not getting that 6 points. So let's say he's assisting Mahrez, right? So his baseline is like 9 points ahead of Mahrez. So, or 10 points ahead of Mahrez or whatever. And then he gets an assist, which is worth 9 points, and Mahrez gets a goal's 18. They're both around the sort of 29 mark. You'll find that Kev will sneak those. And that's why he was getting 6-point assists. And to be fair, that's also why when he was getting these assists and getting in the bonus, those last 5 minutes were flipping excruciating when he get booked and stuff like that, because you'd see him drop from 3-1 and all sorts of stuff like that.
Everyone will talk about the fact that he got 4 goals in one game, but you can only get 3 points
on the bonus.
Like he got 33 bonus last season. That's, he actually only started 25 games last season.
It's mad. That's mad. Yeah.
He is the monster of monsters.
Yeah.
And now he's got someone to aim at.
Who will take bonus away from him because he's going to be a forward?
But will he only take 1 bonus point away from him?
Yeah.
Because if he's more clinical than Jesus, which we think he will, then every time that one goes away, instead of the moment what he often gets is 3 points for the big chance created on the baseline. He then he still gets the 3 points on the bonus set, but he also gets the 9 for the assist. Yep. And that's how he so often does it. So would I expect him to still get more bonus this season than he got last? I think I would.
Probably. Yeah. Okay. No, I can see that. It just feels like every time you go into a City game, you go, right, Haaland 3, KDB 2, Cancelo 1. Let's move on.
I think we could.
I genuinely, that's it. Job done. Because Cancelo's providing all the key passes, so he's got his pretty decent baseline there, and he gets the occasional return, which puts him ahead of Walker, Ake, Stones, Laporte, Diaz, and then De Bruyne is setting up Haaland every week, so he's getting all his mad bonus points. He'll get the 2, and Haaland will just score 2 goals a game, so he'll get 48 on the bonus plus whatever. And yeah, but where I think that makes it the interesting part is that it probably means that Ederson will never get a bonus. Yeah.
But does Ederson become better because he's only 5.5, whereas Laporte and Diaz are 6? And so therefore wouldn't you rather just have Ederson at 5.5 than Walker at 5 or Laporte and Diaz at 6? When you're like, I think I want to watch them.
Yeah, I think if you want to get your defensive points, or sorry, your City double up or whatever in defense, yeah, I think Ederson's probably a better way to go than, because Walker has limited attacking threat. Now Cucurella comes in, that's something a little bit different, but yeah, I'd say Cucurella. I'd probably go Cucurella over Ederson to save the 5 million there, save the 0.5 million, I should say. But Ederson over the rest of them, yeah.
Cuca would need to do more than what he currently does, though, wouldn't he? To get a bonus in this
team.
He'd
be in a better team, so he'd have the opportunity to do that.
He would be, but he had 18. He had 18 shots last season compared to like Cancelo's 81. Like it's not really, it's just not the same of what you're dealing with there. So that's the one where I'm like, it'd be interesting to see. He had 2 goal involvements all season last season. Cooch ain't going to get an 8-pointer on a 1-0, 2-0. Ederson, blocks you from jumping the City bit. That's the big deal. And I think, Mark gave us that good point last week on Monday. If suddenly you look at Kane over Haaland, you're unlikely to max out.
Yeah.
And then I think if Kane becomes the go-to rather than Haaland, then I think Ederson becomes the go-to keeper.
Yeah.
And I can see that swinging.
Yeah, cool. Let's move to United.
Let's move to United.
Right, what do we make of United?
Who's that little man on your right there?
Sorry?
Who's that man on the bottom right there?
That is Ronaldo. Yeah, 1 point. Well, yeah, over a bonus point per game because he's Ronaldo, right? I mean, greatest goal scorer that's basically ever lived. And yeah, he scores goals and he's a forward in FPL, so doesn't do much else. His baseline's pretty good because
it's all right.
Well, but he's a good finisher.
Really. It's all right when you consider that he pot shots all the time and he still keeps that baseline. The one thing we just don't know on United because it's a different team. Although it's a different team, it looks like the system will be the same in that it will be a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
So 4-2-3-1 normally lends it to fullbacks, and it would lend it to the striker. They would normally be real prime assets in that team. Sometimes the number 10 as well. So it could be Bruno. That striker is a key role at United. 1 bonus per game. Martial only played 2 games last season, so I didn't put him on the sheet, but he did get 2 bonus in his 2 games he played.
Yeah.
7 million, Martial could definitely be one. Escapades there with Dalot, high baseline. Only Matip had a higher baseline than Diego Dalot. The reason why I didn't get any bonus because they didn't keep any clean sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad defense. If it's like the Melier, isn't it? You can have all the best baseline you want, but if you're conceding every game, it's bad. Now, I think the early signs for United is that they'll be fun. I'm not sure they'll be tight.
Yeah,
I thought their set piece defense looked really ropey. Yeah. It looked like a lot of work to go on.
There's a comment here about the Eriksen baseline, and I think probably we should just make a point of that. Is Eriksen was the creative spark for Brentford at the second half of that season, and he's going to have to share creativity, set pieces, whatever it is, with Bruno, with whoever. So I think that is probably inflated because of where he was playing, and also
you need to be able to trust the minutes, don't you? And you just don't trust the minutes.
Exactly. There's enough players in there at United, as much as we call them bad or have had them as a banter club for the last couple of years. There's still some decent players in there. So
Dalot at 4.5 is good value.
The way in if you're thinking about it, well, from a BPS perspective anyway.
Yeah, Rashford clean sheets. Rashford was just so off it last season that it's like I'm not sure on it. The good one I like is that Sancho out baselined Bruno second half of the season.
Yeah,
you know, at 3 million cheaper where he is, then
2.5. Yeah,
2.5 cheaper, but 7.5, you're like that could really work. And you can almost see that as a player, he grew in that his limited games in the first half of the season. He was kind of a weapon that didn't really do anything. Second half of the season, he was a real creative spark. And what I've seen of him pre-season, it's good. His baseline is very similar when we get to Kulusevski. That's him.
Yeah.
And that worked out pretty well. The number of times Kulusevski got an assist and still got in the bonus was often. Yeah, I think Dalot, Sancho, and the forward are the ways.
Fair enough.
They're the ways.
Cool. Let's keep going.
Rashford with his baseline, even if he scores, almost never going to get in the bonus.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. It's a 5-point goal. That's it.
Yep.
Cool. Newcastle. Wilson.
I mean, we just don't know on Pope, do we?
No, we have no idea on Pope because it's a different defence. So it's going to be a completely different. You know, you're not going to get the Burnley blocks or whatever. I mean, interestingly, actually, you didn't put Dubravka in here, did you?
I just took him out, but it wasn't that good.
No, but I'm thinking from a second half of the season comparison. How does he fare against the defence? So
I can give you. I just thought it wasn't that fun. I think that was basically it. Was I looked at it and was like, it's not fun enough to have got there. He only got 9 bonus points all season.
And they were all in the second half of the season.
Yeah, because they didn't keep any clean sheet. They were bottom of the league, mate, at Christmas. There's no,
that's true.
It's a relatively easy one to do a bit.
Okay. But his baseline was pretty good, no?
Yeah, 14 for the season. Probably second half was pretty much better.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing, nobody ever calls Pope the sweeper keeper, but he is a sweeper keeper. If you at some point Google YouTube search Pope sweeper keeper, Alex Stewart does a good piece on how he gets the amount of sweeping interventions, and it's that he basically comes for every cross, and they play quite a high line defence, and he therefore just is always up there, and he just boots it out. So he gets the clearances, he gets the recoveries, he gets all those type of things. I don't see his nature changing. So even a different team, I think he'll still do the same things. If they were as good a defence as they could be, then it could be gold.
Yeah.
But why would you start there? I know they've got Forest first up, but like we'll know pretty quickly whether Pope's going to be gold because we know when Pope's gold. We've got enough experience of it. Just go there on wild card if you think that's the way to go.
Yeah, and you can have him for the rest of the season.
Trippier could be getting older, but so minutes maybe. He could be, the Trippier and
he could share
shares this one.
He could share minutes with Share, couldn't he?
Yeah, I think Trippier is still just the big one there that he'll want to be taking all the corners, taking the free kicks.
He wants to be the big dog because he's come back from Spain like the first he was the first signing, wasn't he?
And don't forget again that Southgate likes him. Southgate's a big fan of his.
Yeah, true. England.
And there's a fair amount of right wing back competition.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got to be brilliant to get on that plane.
Yeah.
So Trippier at 5.0, I like it. I don't like the fact that they've got City and Liverpool in the first 6, but can you see him having a good game in that first game? Yes, I think he's going to be there and play. Bruno at 6.0, 1 point. Great baseline. If he keeps scoring, it continues to be a really good, really, really, really good asset.
Yeah.
Wilson is Wilson.
Scores with or without teeth. I mean,
scores with or without teeth. What
more do you want?
That's what he wants. That's literally what he wants on his tombstone. Scores with and without teeth.
Yeah. Right.
Are you considering Wilson early on?
What is he, 7.5?
Yeah.
I think the argument has to be, because is it worth going to Wilson with Jesus at 8 million? I think that's the discussion. Because if I wanted to make a like for like comparison, it's like, would I go Wilson or Vardy? And do I think 2 million is worth it for Vardy? It could be, but I can't. It's either that or what, Tony?
Yeah.
7 million. So I think out of the three for the price, I think Wilson. But then you go and then you go like Arsenal's fixtures are ridiculous. Let's just get Jesus in and
then Martial if he's starting.
Martial 7 million.
Yeah, we ain't going there.
I don't think I'd like to, but I don't think so. Yeah, the fixtures just don't quite sit well enough. If they were good fixtures, I probably would have done.
How many players have you got on the next page for Southampton?
Not many. Bednarek's made it again, though. He's still there.
We broke him.
Yeah, we did.
For those that are, they're not BPS pod virgins that they were there for the first one, they'll know that we called the train. He scored immediately after.
And then hasn't done anything since.
Literally has done nothing since. Went from 1 bonus point a game to 0.17.
Yeah, off a cliff.
Off a cliff. Livramento, we thought of him a lot at the start of the season.
Christ, and he was much better in the second half.
He's actually better for bonus in the second season. In their pre-season games, they've played 3 at the back. If he goes right wing back, at some point, he could be all right. The issue might be that they might concede 4 a game because that's Southampton. Because we're looking at Tottenham, aren't we? And saying, I'm going to target them. We just said Leicester and we're going to target them. You can't go there. And then you've got JWP sitting in the middle of your screen there.
Yeah. Baseline is ridiculous.
6.5 million. He's so good because the rest of the team is so bad.
There is that, and we know, we just know that he's going to get 150 points and everything's going to be great, but he's just that one that you just pick him and keep him, or you just don't bother. Don't try and time it. I've tried it 2 years in a row.
Yeah, you can't time it. If they do go 3 at the back, they've signed Lavia from City, who is a sitter in front of. He's was like deemed to be a Fernandinho heir, and City have got a buyback for 40 million on him. If he sits and then you have Romeo in front of that, Ward-Prowse could have a slightly more attacking role this season. Again, does want to get on the plane, never get subbed. He is good value at 6.5.
Yeah.
We asked Market, didn't we, last week, do you think Mitrovic or Ward-Prowse scores more points this season?
I mean, I don't know what a 6.5 normally. What do you normally get for 6? What do you have to get 6.5 to get 150 points at 6.5 million as a striker? You need
fair amount, mate.
10, 15 goals. You need 15 goals, don't you?
How many strikers got 150 points last season? Let me have a look at that.
Okay, well,
let me have a look at that.
Really,
just so you're aware.
That's about it, really. For Southampton, anyway. So
3 strikers got 150 points last season.
Yeah. So Kane, Ronaldo, and
well, one of them didn't even count because it was Jota.
Oh, Jota. Okay, cool.
So Kane and Ronaldo, the only other 2 that got 150 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ward-Prowse.
Nobody's going to want to go Ward-Prowse at 159 points when they could go Rashford, no bonus potential whatsoever, at the same price. I've seen loads of teams with Rashford in. Ward-Prowse.
Just get Ward-Prowse in. Let's move on.
Hate it. Tottenham.
Tottenham.
Do you want to say?
Wing backs are going to be quality. Sanchez was surprisingly good. Other than that, it's funny enough, it's the front 3. Like it's
funny enough, it's the top front 3, and it became more the front 3, I think, as it went on. So Kane started badly. We talked about it last week. He started badly. He scored 2 goals in 18 games, where it is. So he was never going to be there. His last 3 seasons before this season, he's been between 0.8 and 0.95. He's back.
Cool. And points that were made last season when we did our Tottenham in focus was how poor Son's baseline was and how much of a striker he really was. And so from a bonus perspective, he's obviously done very well because he's returned multiple times, but he has to return multiple times.
Yeah.
To get
what helps him
to lock in that 3 bonus.
What massively helps him is corners.
Yes. But is he going to have that?
Well, that's the bit that I'm still not 100% sure on, is because we've signed a set piece coach. So we've signed Italy's set piece coach. Does Son keep him? Because Son's record was bad from I can't remember what it was, something like 150 odd corners and only 30 of them went to a Tottenham player.
Yeah.
It's not, particularly prolific. Maybe they, part of the goal, set piece coach is that you start changing the person that does it. Doc, is a small sample, looks brilliant, but it was a very, very small sample. And, he just went off in that small period of time. The baseline for left wing back is fun, because if you look at Session and Reguilon, that's the baseline of a forward.
Yeah.
That's a baseline of a big winger. Now, Chilwell is a very similar baseline to that. And we know it. They're just absolute weapons. But the good news on that is that they've signed a weapon of a left wing back in Perisic. So, although that might not be the best for bonus for them, what that does tell you is that the player, by the fact of how low their baseline is, will be used as a striker, as a winger, at worst as a winger.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, more attacking than Kulu.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, isn't it? It's probably the third attacker. I think everyone calls it front three, but the third attacker is very much the left wing back. The fourth attacker is the right wing.
Yeah, because the front two are Son and Kane.
I think we had a comment there about Romero. Is he locked in on bonus? Well,
he does a lot of good things, but his baseline's very good. But I think this season he's going to be competing now, whereas he picked up bonus previously.
Yeah.
I mean, look, 0-0. Yeah, I think if you're in a 0-0, then yes. Tottenham keep a clean sheet, a 1-0, maybe like a Son goal, he'll be involved. I think.
What we know is, since Conte's joined, Tottenham are the third best attack in the league.
Yes.
You don't want a centre-back from the third best attack in the league. Not really.
Well, no. I mean, from a bonus perspective, no. I mean, it's funny because we talk about, like, in seasons gone past, people have gone to, like, DS Laporte, and, you've got people that have gone. I mean, that's probably because you can't pick a return in City. And, Matip was a monster last season, and people have gone Van Dijk. I referenced Jamie, who went Van Dijk in the last 5 weeks. But so it's not impossible to think of going for a centre-back in a top side like that, a top attacking side, I should say, without tooting horns or whatever. But, yeah, I just think in our side, at Tottenham, I just don't think he'll...
No.
Just don't.
And Hugo's dead. Really?
Yes.
Because he's more expensive than any of the defenders.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So why would you go there? I don't see it at 5.5. Only Perisic is the same price. Everyone else is cheaper. Nah.
Yeah.
Dead. Kulusevski is a very good baseline. But, we've seen a couple tonight of good ones. Sancho, Diaz, Kulusevski. They work hard. Good players. Means if they return, they've always got a chance.
Yeah.
They are good. Only one to watch on Son is whether he keeps corners or not.
Okay. Cool.
Two to go.
Almost and then the top players. Yeah, well, it's good because we're at 20 minutes until 2 hours, but we know that this one's always going to be long.
We know. That's why we're going to put the timestamps in. People can work through. They can work through it. West Ham.
How many people we got watching at the moment? I mean, like, we got 31. No, we got 50 odd now. We got 50 odd. That's good.
50.
If you are enjoying this, then please do just drop us a like on the stream. It would be very much appreciated. And leave us with any comments that you have as well, either as a question or as a comment afterwards. Please do that. West Ham.
Cresswell, solid.
Yeah.
Solid. The interesting one on that is that they've been linked with Kostic to get today, the Frankfurt left wing back.
Yeah.
And they've signed, what is it, like Aguerd? Is that, I think how you might say it?
Aguerd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Aguero, but with a D at the end.
Yeah.
And he's a left-sided centre-back. So I don't know whether they're just thinking that Cresswell's legs are starting to go or not. But if we get either of those at those kind of prices, that position's been really, really useful. So just one to watch. I think you can stay away from the majority of these. I really do. Apart from, I've seen quite a lot of people looking at Fornals, and I'm like, why?
It was always
Doesn't get bonus. Doesn't really do
I've
a
said
lot.
this on here so many times. It was with West Ham. There's like 2 from 3, whatever. There's 2 from 4 that you pick in that little front line. Like Bowen has come and basically grabbed it by the balls, literally, because even he was in that group. Just after he, like 3 or 4 months after he signed, he was in that group of Bowen, Benrahma, Fornals, Lanzini, just rolling, pick 2, do what you want. But like Bowen's baseline is ridiculously low for a midfielder.
Because he's a weapon. He's
for
not a midfielder, is he?
Exactly. That's where he plays in real life. And I look at this and I go, like, how have they not reclassified him?
He's just playing as forward.
He's just playing up front with Antonio, basically. But still, with that, they can't be keeping many clean sheets at the back end of last season because like 1.2 points per game. Bonus points per game. Mad.
I mean, Benny, Bowen, Cresswell, they're your guys, really. I don't think any of us going to go near Benny, so let's just discount it, despite the fact that he's just been solid as a player all last season. Very few players averaged over 0.5 bonus per start, first and second, but you just think he'll get subbed off way too many times to even think about it. But you can really see the decline in Antonio as a player. And it starts to make a lot more sense that they're about to sign Scamacca.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say it. Who's a big guy, a real target man. He's not going to... That does push Bowen back to right wing.
Yeah.
What does that mean, for Bowen? So I looked at this early in the week and I was like, why am I not looking at Bowen? But Scamacca does change a lot for me in that sense. So we just got to keep an eye on that. As soon as Brozier-Link's coming out, I was like, oh. Because the reason why Bowen's been so successful is that baseline. He's not doing any work. He's simply up there. I mean, that baseline must purely be off the corners he takes because he got whatever he got, 15, 16, 17 assists. So I think it's very good business. I think a lot of people think, why would they sign a striker when they've got Antonio? Just look at it. He got 2 bonus from 19 games in the second half of that season. That tells you just how bad as a forward. Only Neil Maupay got less.
Yeah, that's not many. It's not many, considering you get 24 points in it and you basically take it when you score.
Yeah.
You're generally pretty close. It's pretty bad. Is it? Well, I say we got 1 to go.
We're quick on Wolves on that one. And it's like, my notes I wrote down was just rank.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing there.
I mean, Jim, mate. Jim used to be a good player. Look at it. It's horrific. The only positive is half their bonus points for the entire season came from wingbacks.
Can you just? Okay, I'm still not really bothered. Can you tell me why Fabio Silva has negative baseline? How many games did he play to get that? I feel like you just included it for banter. To be honest,
I think I did put it in for banter. Poor old Fabio.
And I'm looking at Neto. I'm looking at Neto's baseline. Yes, small sample size. I'd love to see it actually for the season before, but
he started 6 games.
Who did? Fabio Silva?
Yeah.
What? And had... Jesus Christ. Started 6. I mean, you get points for starting games.
Yeah.
Don't you get 6 points for making 60 minutes?
Yeah. Minus 0.17 per game. Oh, God.
Just can't shoot. Just literally cannot shoot. Perfect.
Oh, yeah, that is it.
We've just been missing chances. I mean, I don't think he's been sent off every time he's come on.
Scored 0 goals and had 3 big chances in his 6 games.
Okay, so you miss all 3 of those, so that's minus 9. Cool. So basically, I think just on this, you mentioned wingbacks, but I think seriously from a Wolves perspective, if you're using potential bonus points as a differentiator, between a Wolves player and someone else, pick that other person.
Yeah.
Basically. Because you're almost certainly going to be better.
The positives in bad is that if someone turns up, it's theirs for the taking. Yeah. So if Neto decides to be the boy, he's got it to himself.
Yeah.
He did. It's a small sample, but he did still have like 0.5 expected goal involvement per game. No one put him in, obviously, because Fabio Silva and Jimenez and Podence, Adara, all the likes of him, Trincao. Like,
I think we've spent way too much time speaking about Wolves.
We're done with Wolves, mate. So that's it. A to Z.
A to Z. Take a breather.
And
then we can reflect on the top players. Now I realised this beforehand. There's a nice little mark around that bonus for the defenders because I forgot to take the thing out of Excel.
I enjoy it. Looks fancy.
Amateurish, isn't it? Really.
It looks fancy. Look, anyway. The highlighted ones on this are players from the top 4 teams. Yeah. If you're thinking about your squad and before you even look at your players, what you know is defenders from top teams are really important for bonus. They do well. Or they've got to be a really key fullback wingback. So Cooch, Trippier, Cresswell, Tierney, Aït-Nouri, they've got to be a standout in that team.
Yeah.
Mids, pretty similar.
But the ones that have, the ones that are not part of the top 4 there are either a weapon.
Yep.
Or have or nothing else in their side, right?
Yep.
So I'm looking at like Ward-Prowse, for example. There's nothing else at Southampton. Or they've just had a mental start like Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah, and the Bowen season. But then your Maddisons, your Ward-Prowse, Benrahma, Saka, Trossard, those non-top 4 players. But hey.
But again, they're still key players. They're still key players in their side. Trossard had that 57 points in 6 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
up front,
strikers are strikers.
Strikers are strikers.
At the end of the day, if they score goals when they're on the pitch, they take bonus.
Doesn't matter who they play for. Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't really matter who they play for. If they score goals, they'll be okay.
Like you've got all 3. You've got all 3 of Leicester strikers in there.
Because it didn't matter. As long as someone of them played,
and they always score. And they always score a goal. So
yeah.
And then Kane when he started scoring goals. Just
both Villa ones.
To remind myself, just to remind myself back to Tottenham. So Kane was 0.29 the first half of the season and finished the season at 0.64. So
yeah.
Even Calvert.
But even your Welbecks, Calvert-Lewins, Wilson, Vardy, Ronaldo. If you're number 9 and you're as a forward, great. It means you don't really want people that are a bit clever as forward. You don't want the forward that's like the winger. Like you don't want it. You just want a straight up number 9. They'll do all right in bonus. It does mean for me, I think some of those mid-price strikers, they've got quite a low floor. They haven't got a high ceiling, as we know. They don't get over the 150 very often.
They've got a low floor or a high floor?
High floor. I mean. Yeah. High floor, low ceiling. I think a lot of them have. Yeah. I just think I see a lot of people with
that's bad, isn't it? I need to go back. I'm frozen. That's me from
Leave it on that one, mate. Leave it on that one till we finish. But yeah, I think it's that case of defenders. I think you want at least 3 from the top 4.
Yeah,
at least 3. If you can do 4, great. I don't mind 5, and that can include the keeper. In that sense. But you're not likely to get any bonus from the keeper. That's what we've seen. Yeah, I don't see that Alisson matches what he did last season on bonus because I don't see them being as sloppy as they were last season. Just don't see it. Mids, it's all about minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
If De Bruyne plays, if Mahrez plays, if Sterling plays, if Mount plays, even second half season, Ziyech plays, Luis Diaz plays. If players in the strong positions are getting your minutes, they're gold.
Yeah.
So the key is start the season with players from good teams that are going to get the minutes. So if I looked at that start now on the 0.8s, 8.0, sorry. Maddison, to me, looks a standout. Diaz.
Well, there you go. That's
isn't
that's the
far
question
off.
for Spartans, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kulusevski will definitely get the minutes in game week 1.
Yeah.
We just don't know what will happen after that with Richarlison in the mix.
Yeah.
The Bowen will definitely get the minutes at 8.5.
Yeah. Cool.
Fun.
There we are. 1 hour, 52 minutes. Monster as always, this one.
Monster. But
It's
the
always
aim
big.
is that we've got 2 weeks left of the season.
Yeah, and we can time. So we will obviously, as I say, we'll timestamp, the discussions that we've had about all the different teams, so you can go to the team that you want to look at. We'll obviously timestamp front and back as well, so you can see like top players and top teams. We mentioned earlier as well that we'll put the data from what we've just shown you. We'll put that in the description below, so you can grab that data for yourself. Completely fine. Just go and grab it. That's cool.
We're good.
We're good. So thank you very much for everyone that joined us. If you're still here from the start, fantastic. If you joined us over from another stream, good to see you. And
it's a lot of work putting this stuff. Honestly, there's a reason why a lot of people don't do bonus pods, is because the data's in very few places to actually get in and get that stuff out, and then you've just got to manually scrape it and get it into something that looks useful. So we appreciate if you appreciate it.
Exactly. So please do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We've got a podcast with Alon from FPL next week. He sent me over a picture to use as a thumbnail. Honestly, it's the most amazing thing.
He's a beautiful man.
It's gonna be brilliant. And then we've got on Sunday, we'll do one final pre-season final thoughts for us. We're not going to do anything in the final week. There's going to be so much content out there. People's minds are going to be completely blown. And, we want to take that week to be able to put our own teams together and stuff as well. So, we fancy actually starting quite well as well. So
and we did start well.
We did start well last
season.
Just
in case anyone wonders, we were both in the top 30K of all game week 1 teams. Just both of us.
Yep. And then I started going against Salah as captain. So I just...
Well,
couple of decisions away from being a half decent season.
Good, mate.
We're good. Right, cool. Well, I'll speak to you later, mate.
Enjoy your weekend. We get a few more Sundays off.
Happy days.
We will get back to Sundays. For those that do watch us for long, we would normally pod on a Sunday night. But look, we pod on a Sunday night like 35 times out of 52. So times where we don't have to is great for us to have a weekend.
Yeah, agreed. Cool, man. Right. Pod number 100.
See you later, mate.
Done.
Done.
See you later, man.
See ya.